Hey, welcome everyone. It is Monday, October 3rd of 2022. We're here to explain all about this little device here, the Healy microcurrent frequency device. Some people call it a quantum healing device. Some people call it a microcurrent frequency device. So there's a lot of ways we could talk about it. But it's awesome, and we're going to hear all about it here tonight. So first of all, I'm going to give you a quick overview of what are frequencies, because some people don't know what we're even talking about. In fact, when I was first introduced to this back in May of 2020, I had heard of a Rife machine, but that was it. I did not have any other idea of what frequencies were and what that meant in energy medicine. It was all foreign to me. So, but I had a doctor friend that had called me, a holistic doctor, and really respect her. And so we honestly bought one just because of her recommendation. And it has been awesome. It's been just a great thing for our family, for our health, for physical, mental, emotional, all sorts of health. And you're going to hear from me a little bit, and Ray Jatan and Lori Falk. All three of us are what are called Healy board members, meaning that we are just independent distributors, people that are promoting the Healy for as our own business. But we've been doing it a while, so we were selected to kind of even advise the corporate structure a little bit on what it's like out here in the field. So we're excited to share this with you. We are, just to be right up front in the very beginning, Healy did chose to become a social selling or a network marketing type of distribution model for getting the word out about Healy, because honestly, they were trying to do it just through practitioners, and it didn't work very well. They didn't sell very many of them. So they wanted to make it that the people that were experiencing it and having these great results could share it with other people. And now it's just been exploding around the world. So what frequencies are, basically every cell in our body is a little power plant, a little electrical power plant. It has a cellular voltage on the cell wall. And each different type of cell has an ideal frequency that it will vibrate at, or vibrate is probably the right word for that. So like a liver cell and a hair cell and a skin cell, they all have a different ideal frequency. And what doctors and scientists and quantum physicists have found is that if you resonate energy in at very specific frequencies, you end up having results in the cell. And it could be that ideal frequency. It could be a harmonic of that ideal frequency. It could be a combination of frequencies that cause things to act differently in the cell, but you'll get increased ATP production in the cell, which is the energy of the cell. Get protein synthesis is increased, amino acid transport. There's all this stuff that happens at the biological level. But what else is frequency? Our brain waves, our thoughts, our emotions, all that is frequency too. So there's two important quotes I like to point out at the very beginning. And one is Nikola Tesla, which many of you probably know is a famous quantum physicist. They end up naming this car company after him, the Tesla, but it's not him. That's Elon Musk. Okay, Nikola Tesla was from 100 years ago, and he had said, if you want to understand the secrets to the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And then also Albert Einstein, kind of around the same time, he said, the future of medicine will be the medicine of frequencies. So we've known for 100 years that this is kind of where medicine will be going. And it reminds me a lot of Star Trek: The Next Generation, right? Where they would take that little tricorder and they run it across the body. It's reading all those frequencies, it's reading the bioenergetic field. And then they have this table, and they put you on it and push some buttons, and it's doing all this work that seems to be like magic, right? Well, that's kind of where we're heading. And we've got it now in this little device. So I'm going to turn this over to Ray so he can share with you a little of his own story, but also tell you the kind of background of Healy, how it's actually has a parent company called Time Waver, which is really important because we get to use what Time Waver has figured out about frequencies and put it into this little package here. So Ray, why don't you introduce yourself and share your story here with us?
Absolutely. Thanks for love being on here with you two. You guys are both amazing. This opportunity has been phenomenal for me and my family. We actually found out about this. It was 2 years ago on September 1st, and I have a son that's a senior in high school. Tonight he scored a goal last 3 seconds of the game. It's pretty exciting. But 2 years ago, when he was beginning to play soccer at 15 years old, um, he was experiencing a growth spurt, and he grew. The poor kid grew like 6 inches in 8 months. It was so fast that he's got stretch marks on his back. And between trying to play soccer for high school and the growth spurt, the poor kid couldn't walk, let alone run. And we were heading out for vacation, and I was actually concerned for him that he wouldn't be able to go hiking with us. So we stopped to pick up some of my best friends. And when they saw him, they said, "Hey, we just bought this device that's from Germany, and it's cleared here in the US for chronic and acute pain, arthritis, muscle soreness due to overexertion." And then it has hundreds of other, quote, non-medical related things that it can do for like sleeping and stress and mental balance and gosh, you name it, it's in there. But in the other countries like Canada and the other European countries, it actually also states that it is for fibromyalgia, depression, and anxiety. So we were just really intrigued with what it did, because my friends hooked him up, did a 20-minute pain program on him, and 2 hours later, this kid's walking normal. And my wife says, "I got to have one of those." So I've got my own issues from having diabetes for 30, almost 38 years now. And um, I just continue to fiddle with it, trying to figure out what all can this thing do. And um, in my mind, they also told me that it was there was a money back guarantee on it for 14 days, and I'd already saw it work, but just hearing that made my brain go into the mode of, I'm going to work this thing as hard as I can to see if I can get it to break. And we just kept scanning and running programs, and it just kept working. It was amazing what it was doing for pain. I can tell you, it's the single biggest thing that I've done in 38 years of having diabetes to reduce the amount of insulin I take. As a type 1 juvenile diabetic. So that's been huge for me, but we've seen it address hormones with all three of my girls, my two daughters and my wife, and numerous other things throughout our family. So um, my my wife came home from work one day, and she had an issue that she was going through, and of course I fix problems. So I said, "Why don't you do a scan and run a program?" And she looks at me and points that finger at me and says, "How the heck do you think I should be able to do that? Because you're the darn Healy hog." So I knew at that point I had to get another device. So I reached out to my buddy, and he said, "Well, we're just customers. Let me introduce you to a guy named Les." And when I called Les to find out more, he said, that kind of sounds funny, doesn't it? Called Les to find out more. He told me more. And what he said was, "Ray, if you're going to buy another device, you need to sign your wife up as a member, because there's a fast start promo that's available. If you share this with three and they buy those devices, then Healy will send you another device for free." And I was all about the free. So I could care less about anything else. I just wanted that free device. That way I could have a device for my kids too, because I had a hard time sharing this thing. I just was in love with it so much, with everything that it could do. Fascinating. And as I'm experiencing the frequencies from the unit, from the Healy, I'm investigating the company even more. And I actually had an experience with a larger practitioner version of a machine like the Time Waver about 5 years ago. Somebody introduced me to somebody that had a frequency device that was for a practitioner, and I spent about 3.5 hours in this chair, and the lady was sending frequencies into my body, and she could tell that I was a type 1 diabetic and that I had a low thyroid, that I had E. coli and bacteria in my system, and that I dealt with depression and anxiety, probably like most business owners. I was fascinated again back then, but I couldn't do anything about it because I found out that that practitioner device was about $40,000. And and then to learn on top of that, it was going to cost about 15,000 to fly to Germany and get specially trained to read that device. And so as 3 years, fast forward 3 years, that's when I find out about the Healy. So the other thing that I thought was very interesting was the parent company of the Healy is a company called Time Waver, and they make those bigger devices. And they launched this device to the practitioners as a extension of their care because it was much easier to read off of a mobile phone device for an administrator to use on a client and use an extent as an extension to their care to send home with a client. So when they launched this in 2017, it was working great for the practitioners, but what they found was practitioners weren't really great at selling. So by 2019, that's when they determined that we need to go to market a different way outside of the practitioners only, and that's when they pushed it into the social selling arena. And what was interesting to me as a businessman is the first year in the other world markets, they did $7 million worth of business. Now, I thought that was pretty good for a first year with a device like this. The other thing was they came in, that was 2019, 2020, they came into the US market in May. So not even a full year, just halfway through the year, they came into the US market. And by the end of 2020, they had done $100 million worth of business. That's crazy. As a businessman, I'm thinking, what an opportunity. How many people know about this here in the US? And what can we do to share the results that we're getting with other people? So that's why we looked deeper into this as an opportunity. So just beyond the free device, that was great. But after I sold those first three to people that I knew and cared about, I actually talked to 6 people thinking that I needed to talk to 6 or maybe even 10 to sell the three. Well, lo and behold, all 6 of the people that I shared this with bought the devices because I was offering a free personal frequency scan, and I was basically saying to them that you're going to know somebody that this can help. Whether you buy one or not didn't matter to me, but they wanted to help other people. And when I did the scan for them, they resonated with what pulled up on the scan, like what you're going to see with David here in a little bit too. And they said, "Oh my gosh, how did it know that? I got to have one." And that's what you're going to experience too. If you haven't already had a free personal frequency scan, you're going to want to make sure once this call is done that you reach back out to the person that invited you on this call and say, "I need a free personal frequency scan." And they will be glad to help you. Or you can reach out to one of us and we'll help make sure that your friend can do that as well. So man, I just keep on going. I'm so excited about this still yet. So I think I should turn this over to Lori and let her take it from there. Lori is an amazing artist and a health and wellness coach, and she has a wealth of information to share. I totally respect her and what she does, and it's just nice to see that we have practitioners out there that like we work with every day, chiropractors, massage therapists, health and wellness coaches, you name it, anybody that's in the therapy realm needs to have one of these and use with her clients. So I'm done talking now. Lori, take it away.
Thank you, Ray and David. It's an honor to be here with both of you. So my story goes back 25 years ago when I first fell in love with biofeedback. Biofeedback actually saved my device or saved my life. Biofeedback saved my life. I kid you not. So back then we didn't have Time Waver. It wasn't in existence, but they had a QXCI device, which was very similar, high-end, expensive. And I was fortunate enough to have a naturopath who had one of the first devices in the US. And at the time I was suffering from major depressive disorder, severe anxiety, and chronic fatigue. I was a mess. I had spent a year on the couch, and all the different prescription meds that they were throwing at me weren't really doing the trick. So I sought out the help of a naturopath, and she did a scan on me, and she said, "Have you ever been in an accident?" And I said, "Well, yeah, actually I was. When I was in my late 20s, I was in New York City hailing a cab. Truck comes along, hits me right here. I'm facing, back. It came right from my side. I'm facing the ongoing traffic, and the truck was backing into my spot. How dare they?" Anyway, it was a very serious accident. I nearly died. And subsequently, over the years, what the QXCI picked up was that my C1 through C3 vertebrae were compressed because the muscles had tightened to the point from the neck injury. They had tightened so much on those vertebrae that they were just totally shut, totally closed, totally compressed. So the neurotransmitters that get made in your stomach that help you stay happy and in balance weren't getting up my spinal column into my brain where they kind of needed to be to keep things regulated. So I was like in awe, absolutely in awe. And my naturopath just said, "Well, you've got a choice here. You can keep taking these meds or you can fix the neck injury." And she said the biofeedback, because it was not just scanning, but sending frequencies to me, could help the neck to heal. Well, I thought that was fabulous. And then she told me that it was really a good thing that we were finding this out, because I was already showing signs of kidney dysfunction from all the meds I had been on. And that if I didn't get off these meds, I'd be on dialysis by the time I was 60. So that didn't sound like a very good scenario. So I went as often as I could for biofeedback sessions. But here's the key. You can only afford so many biofeedback sessions in a month. And that's the beauty of actually having a Healy. Because when you have a Healy, it has those amazing frequencies that you can run on yourself on a daily basis. You don't have to worry. Once the device is paid for, you can run as many sessions on yourself as often as you want, as often as you need. And that has been a godsend for me. So when I say biofeedback saved my life, Healy gave me my life back. I had major depressive episodes on and off for 25 years. It's 2.5 decades. And since I've had my Healy, almost 2.5 years, knock on wood, I have not had one. I've had them come on, and I would grab my Healy and run the mental balance programs, and it would stop it in its tracks. Within an hour, hour and a half, I would be back to normal. I mean, it really is a miracle, absolutely a miracle. Or not, really. It's just that we hadn't known about it in the past. And Dr. Bruce Lipton, who's like the grandfather of epigenetics, has been known to say that frequency medicine is 100 times more effective than any chemicals. So I've reduced my antidepressants to almost nothing, and I use the frequency device on myself every day. So that's just in my life what it did for me. And then there's this beautiful little girl right here. Her name is Gabriella, and she's a little rescue cockapoo. And when she came to live with me, she was 8 pounds and emaciated and afraid of her own shadow. She had been so traumatized in the first 2.5 years of her life living in a chicken coop on a breeding farm, that she didn't know what life was like outside of that. And while as a health and wellness coach, I had a lot of tricks up my sleeve and was doing a lot to help her physical health, it wasn't until I got the Healy that her little personality really started to bloom and blossom. And she's now the most outgoing, friendly little girl. She approaches strangers. She used to cower from them in the past. And so that's a pretty amazing thing as well. Not only do you get to work on yourself, but you can work on your pets. And if you ever want to know what's going on in their little minds, unless you have an animal communicator, it can be a challenge. But with the Healy, there are Bach flower essences and bush flower essence scans that you can run, and it will show you what emotions are out of balance for them and what's going on and how they're feeling. And so to me, that is just magical, absolutely magical, that I now understand when she's having a bad day and what's going on. And the frequencies will then go in and correct the imbalances. And I also can support that by loving support. Well, then on top of all of that, as a health and wellness coach, I can work on all my clients with one device. I'd like to tell you one's enough, but over the course of time, I'm now using 3 on a daily basis because I can work on so many people, so many more people that way. So I can put my clients in and do scans on them. I can run those scans long distance. And what's even more amazing, for those of you out there who are coaches, there's now a coaching module that they've added to the device, otherworldly. Everyone in the company knows that I'm the girl that's having a love affair with the coaching module. And I am for one reason. I can find in 6 minutes what it used to take me 6 months to find. Now that's pretty astounding. And the accuracy of the information is mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. And my clients accept it as fact because it's in black and white. It's not my opinion. It's not a suggestion. It's right there. And when they see it in black and white on these scans, they're like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. And the Healy can find all the subconscious programs that are keeping you stuck in repetitive patterns and not creating or manifesting the life of your dreams. It not only finds the patterns, it will tell you where they came from, whether it's karmic in nature, whether it was something, a belief that got passed on from your parents or your grandparents or your ancestors. It's just absolutely fascinating. And what's happening is that my clients are catapulting through their personal growth and development work. So as far as I'm concerned, this is a device that every coach in the world should have in their arsenal. It's not the only tool I use as a coach, but it is certainly one of the major tools that I now use. And I found that I can eliminate a lot of the other things I used to do as a result of this. So then there's tons I could go on and on. Ray and David know I could go on and on and on about the coaching module, but there's so much here and it's so rich. You've got, over 1 million frequencies in this device and a couple hundred programs on the high-end devices. And it's just so wonderful that I am now going to turn this over to David so that he can show you how it works.
All right, wonderful. Thank you, Lori. Yes, we love to do a demonstration so you can actually see how the Healy can not only provide frequencies, but how it can scan your field and show you what you need. So first, let me just point out the Healy itself right here. I'm using it in the mode where we do microcurrent right now, where these wires are plugged in, and then the wires are going to electrodes hooked to my wrists. Or you can use these type of adhesive electrodes that you would stick, for instance, on your knee, if you have knee pain, and run a frequency right through your knee. But a lot of the programs are with the wrist electrodes to put it through your whole body. So in this case, the frequencies, a very mild electrical current will be running through the cells in the water in your body. We can also take the wires out, and as you saw Lori was wearing, and I think Ray probably too, had this coil on it. So you can see there's a coil of wire there, It is an actual Tesla coil. If you've heard of a Tesla coil, there's two of them in here actually. Create something called a 0-point field in quantum physics. It just plugs right into the back of the Healy, so it's very compact. And now you have a wireless Healy that you can do frequencies without the wires. Now, it's not a replacement for the wires. There's a lot of benefit to running the frequencies through your body at the cellular level. This is more about balancing the energy in your bioenergetic field. So it's a different type of application, but very important. So we can run with the wires three or four times a day is what's recommended, but with big gaps in between. You want to put 2 or 3 hours of space in between applications. But with the coil, you can do them back to back all day long because it's much more subtle. So if you want to do a lot of frequency work in one day, you can do some with wires, some with coil. And the nice thing about the coil is that it's very portable. You can just put this in your pocket now and run frequencies while you're at the grocery store or wherever. Okay. So let me put it back though in with, I'm going to plug the wires back in because I want to demonstrate how it would run a microcurrent program for you. And so I'm going to share my phone screen because we control the Healy from either a smartphone or a tablet. It can be iOS or Android. So I'm going to share my phone screen. Share. And go here. Share. Okay. So now you're seeing the phone screen. You can see I have 5 different apps here that I could use with my Healy. We're just going to concentrate on a couple of them today. First is this one. We call it the pink dot app because it has that pink dot, but it's the main Healy app where you do microcurrent. And you can see here in this app, we have all these different program groups. Oops, let me go back here. Gold cycle, pain, learning, fitness, job, mental balance, beauty and skin, bioenergetic harmony, 1 and 2. I keep accidentally pushing a button. Meridians, chakras, bioenergetic defense, bioenergetic support, bioenergetic vitalization. Keep clicking it. Digital nutrition. See, I'll show you some of these. So there's 6 different pages of digital nutrition. It's like having a supplement for the brain or the hair or the skin, but having the frequency information that, you know, all those supplements that you would ingest, all the vitamins and nutrients and minerals, they all have a frequency to them as well. Well, you can record that frequency information and digitally send that into your field and get a lot of the same benefit as ingesting it would. So you see all these different ones. There's something called the power of 3. There's natural cycle. And then expert programs is really cool. You can actually download from a time waiver therapist specific programs for you. They can even be made custom for you. And then you would own them right here on your Healy and work with an actual therapist if you want. So I'm just going to go back and we'll show you all these different programs and grab one here and choose one. Let's say I wanted to run something from Bioenergetic Harmony 2 for food sensitivities. I would click that. It says it's going to be about a 60-minute program, and I would use it with the wrist electrodes, is what that's indicating. Or it does say here it can also be used with the Healy coil. When you hit start, it's going to send all the frequencies from my phone. It's sending that frequency set over to the Healy. And there are probably hundreds of different frequencies that the time waiver therapists have found can be helpful if you have food sensitivities, right? It could be changing histamine responses in the body, or how your blood cells react to this or that, and nutrient transport. There could be frequencies for all different types of things that can affect food sensitivities in this case. So this is a set of frequencies. Looks like a large set because it's just taking quite a long time to transfer it all over. And what's really cool is you'll see when this starts, it'll send me a frequency. And then 10 seconds later, it chooses another frequency and another frequency. And every 10 seconds it's changing. And Healy is actually choosing, the quantum sensor of the Healy is actually checking my bioenergetic field, which the quantum physicists, they call that the information field because we can read it now. It's full of information. And they're checking that field to see which frequencies are low or out of balance for me. And then it's choosing the right frequencies for me. So if me and Ray and Lori and you all ran this program at the same time, we would actually end up with a different set of frequencies for each of us. So sorry, I picked a program that has so many frequencies. I'll have to plan ahead next time and choose one that isn't quite so long because it's still sending the frequencies over to the Healy. Normally this is just 5 seconds or less. This must have a lot of frequencies, but you'll see it's going to start right up here 666.7 hertz is the first frequency it's sending to me. And then after 10 seconds, that will change to another frequency. So let's see what comes out next. 748.3. Okay, so and it's showing that I have at 15% intensity, I could bump that up. I do it about there. I start to feel a little tingling in my hands. I know that there's actually something happening, right? Just the rechargeable battery in the Healy is sending us a very, very, very low current at these specific frequencies through my body. How do I know that these are going between these two wrists through where the frequencies go through the water? Well, or through the water in my body. This white line here means I have good conductivity. You'll see what happens if I unplug one. It will go black because now I've interrupted that circuit. And it can also be black if you have the intensity too low, or if you're dehydrated, or if you have a lot of toxicity in your body. So what I found is that initially I would have to bump it up a lot higher intensity to get that line to stay white. But now that I've been doing frequencies for a long time, the Healy has helped me get rid of a lot of that toxicity and those blockages in my body. So now it does stay white for quite a lot, pretty much all the time for me, even at even lower than 45% intensities. So this is how that goes. So this would go on for 59 more minutes, and that would be one application. If I wanted, I could unplug this and do it with the coil instead and just put it in my pocket and make it very, very, very simple. And let's just go on though to show you another thing that we can do. So I'm going to go out of this app, close the program, go out of this app. Over here, this Heal Advisor app has several different modules. Some of the program groups have their own module, which means it's just more than a set of frequencies. It can do extra stuff. For instance, there's this one called Digital Nutrition where I showed you those 6 pages of apps, but you can actually search for topics that you want to address, and it'll tell you which programs to use. And it can even make a shopping list of groceries that you would eat, the foods you would want to eat to enhance that experience, or to enhance those same types of frequencies that you were needing in your body for the topics you chose. But this Televisor Search is really cool. We can go in here, and I'll just select that I want to do from all the IMF programs, individualized microcurrent frequency programs is what that means, in my Healy, based on the Healy that I own. And if you type in anything, like here, Ray was talking about how he has diabetes, right? You can type in diabetes, and you can see there's a lot of choices that'll come up that are related, but I'm just going to click on diabetes, and it shows which programs in my Healy would be good to run if I were dealing with diabetes. And I can add them to a schedule. I can put them in a program pool with these little stars on the right, and set up a whole system for me working specifically on that issue. Now, what I like to do, what many people do, is work in this other app called the Heal Advisor Analyze app. This is the coolest part of Healy, I believe. And this is when most people see this that are practitioners, they think the Healy is going to cost $10,000 or more because of the biofeedback part of what we're talking about. So we can actually do aura analysis, which is analyzing those 7 chakra energy centers in the body. We can do coaching analysis, which is what Lori, our friend, has said is so amazing, which it is. And we can do resonance analysis. Most people start with resonance analysis. It's most directly physical, mental, emotional type health issues. I'll choose myself as the client in this case, and it's going to scan and find the Healy, so make sure it's turned on. It'll connect to the Healy first, so it knows which device, because in my case, I have several Healys. So yeah, in fact, more than one of them's turned on. I'm going to make sure I'm connecting to the one I'm using right now, right there. Actually, that other one is charging currently, so that's why it's showing up, because it's got power to it. And there we go. I'm connected. So now notice it says the focus is with what do I have the greatest resonance now. So what that means is it's going to scan my bioenergetic field compared to these different databases and see which frequencies are needed from these databases. So what I like to do is show you from here. If we start here, these are all those Healy program groups that you saw in the first app I was sharing with you. Okay, Deep Cycle, Digital Nutrition, Job, Meridians, Power of 3, Sleep, all those different things. But there's extra programs as well, like Alaskan Gem Elixirs. These are different databases that you may be familiar with if you're involved in holistic health. Australian bush flowers, Bach flower remedies, homeopathics, And down at the bottom, we have I Ching, which is traditional Chinese medicine, Schussler salts, and vital substances. And we can do scans in any of these and do what's called vibrational frequencies. So let's show you. If I did vital substances here, actually there's 76 of them, so this might take a little bit longer. That was not going to be too bad. But it's basically scanning all 76 of these vital substance frequency sets against my bioenergetic field. It's going to show me the top 5 that are most important for me. So in this case, I'm getting L-glutamine, vitamin B12, vitamin A, whatever that big long word is, acid, and another big long word with acid, okay? These are vital substances that your body uses. Well, we have the frequency information. Well, I can't go over to the other app and run with microcurrent in this case. This database is only in this blue app, or the Healy Overview Analyze app, but I can go actions, vibrate, choose a time period. I'll go a little shorter because we don't want to take so much time here. 37 seconds is all. And I can now send those frequencies into my bioenergetic field, but this is a different way. I showed you microcurrent with the wires. I showed you using the coil, which is scalar waves in a 0-point field. This is called radionics, and it can even be done remotely. So I can have a client and send them frequencies, even if they're not in the same area as me, because it's all done in the quantum field. It's called quantum entanglement. You can look it up and study it in quantum physics, but it means that there's a connection between all matter in the universe, right? And we can connect and do through quantum entanglement. This is sending it into my field, or I could send frequency sets to someone across the world if I wanted to. So that is a way to do frequencies vibrationally into the field. Again, that's more subtle than using the wires, but it works. But the other cool thing is we can do a combination of those over here with this one called All Healy programs. This is speaking specifically of all these ones like beauty and bioenergetic defense, bioenergetic harmony. All those Healy programs are in that first app. So this lets me see which programs are most resonant with me right now. So this is doing a scan of my bioenergetic field to see which of those 25 different program groups are most resonant with me right now. Number 1 is learning. Number 2 is the beauty programs, bioenergetic support, digital nutrition, and meridians. I like to focus on them if they're over 50%, and today all 5 of these are over 50% for me. So I would typically go in now and do scans deeper into each of these and see which programs are most resonant with me. And then through the day or through the week, if I wanted, I could do one scan for the whole week. I could just concentrate on the program. So for instance, let's do learning and also digital nutrition, because those are both kind of interesting. Learning, because it's number 1 for me. It was the highest. So I can see now, if I go to the Healy learning programs, there's 9 programs in this group, but it's going to bring up the top 5 now, top 5 programs that are most resonant with me, and one called exam systemic. So these are specifically frequencies that can help you concentrate as if you're going to be taking an exam or working on some kind of intense project, right? Then we have stress systemic, learning systemic, concentration, and then one called learning acute, where you'd actually put the electrodes up near your head and up near your brain in that case when it says acute. So these are the most important. So I can do this again. I can go actions, vibrate. I can send some frequencies. I'll just do 17 seconds now. So I'm sending frequencies from all 5 of these program groups into my field right now. I would normally do this a longer period of time. But notice the blue wavy line means it's still reading my field. The pink wavy line is the information it's sending to my field. So it's doing both. That's what another thing that makes the Healy so cool and unique compared to like a Rife machine or anything else, is that in real time, it is scanning and adjusting the frequencies for you personally. Everybody's application is different. There are hundreds of thousands or even millions of frequencies that are potentially possible with the Healy, and you get the ones that you need the most. But I would also know from this that I would go over to that other app and run the exam systemic one with either the wires or that coil. And that would be my number 1 program in my number 1 group. But look what else. I can go into some of those other ones. Remember, digital nutrition came up for me. I find these interesting because they're usually more on the physical plane of what we would need. So let's see what I'm lacking. And digital nutrition has 72 different programs in it. So I'm going to do this scan. Take a little bit longer because it's scanning my field against 72 different programs. And it'll bring up the top 5. And these are also ones I could concentrate on the rest of today or this week. So heart, liver, hypovitaminosis, that came up number 1 for me yesterday. I don't know what that means, but I learned to just trust the Healy. Okay, rest and energetic. So these are 5 different nutritional supplement blends that we have the frequency information for. So again, I could go actions, vibrate, and do those vibrationally into my field, but typically what I would also want to do is go over to that first app I showed you and run this heart program, and then later maybe this liver program, and then this program with the wires or with the coil through the day. Okay, so that's really cool how we can scan and see what we need. So so there you go. That's all I'm going to show you with that. I'm going to now go and stop sharing here, and I'm going to go and share my computer screen because I wanted to go into what the Healy costs and everything about that you want to learn about the Healy here, because there are 5 different versions of the Healy. I'm assuming almost everybody that looks at this is really interested. So I'm assuming after you watch this webinar so far, you're like, wow, this Healy is great. So you want to know what they cost, right? There's 5 versions of the Healy at 5 price points. We call them editions. But the hardware is the same for every edition. You're really paying for the software, like which program groups or which app modules you are using. Can you do aura analysis or coaching analysis or resonance analysis and so on? So lower editions aren't going to have as many things, and the more expensive editions will. But when you can actually start at a lower edition and you can upgrade to a higher one later, and you don't have to get a new Healy. You're just opening up more software that you can have access to through the apps. So when you purchase your Healy, you're going to get everything you need to run it, but they also give you a 14-day money-back guarantee from the day you receive your Healy. So not even from when you order it, it's from when it comes in the mail and you receive it that day. You have 2 weeks, you can play with it. And if for some reason you're not happy with it, you could return it, which is very, very rare, I'll be honest. That doesn't seem to happen very often. Okay, Healy program groups, this is just giving an example. There's as many as 200 and something programs that you could have access to between the program groups and the app modules, and all these different app modules here too. The lowest price Healy is called Healy Gold, and it's about $500. Now it's a very entry level, doesn't have a lot of programs. It just has 11 microcurrent programs in that gold cycle group, which is kind of the first set that a lot of people will use initially. They're developed by a practitioner out of Portugal that's a time waver therapist. And these are really, really great frequency programs, very popular. You also get these bioenergetic support programs, and then the 2 FDA cleared pain programs, chronic pain and pain locally. At the far extreme, the most expensive Healy is about $4,000, and it's got 216 microcurrent programs instead of just 11. Now, it's not every single thing that Healy offers, but it's most things. There's a few things that Healy offers that are either only available as a monthly subscription or as a one-time purchase that adds it to your Healy. Like there's one called the Natural Cycle that is like that. But 216 is most of the programs that we have, and most of the app modules that are available as well. You saw us playing with the resonance module here. You saw that we had an aura and a success coach module. We did the search module, and we'd search for diabetes, for instance. So that's a lot of that. Now, in between, there's other editions. We have the holistic edition, resonance, resonance plus, and it goes up professional. You can see here's gold, what it contains. So you go to holistic, you're adding more programs. So you go from 11 to 63 microcurrent programs, and we've added these different categories that can each have anywhere from 4 to 12 programs in them. And when you go up to resonance, now you're adding chakras and fitness and local stimulation, sleep, power 3, a lot more program groups, but you're also getting the first app module. Well, everyone gets the search module. You see, every edition has that. But now you've added that resonance module where I was doing the scans and saw that I needed learning programs and digital nutrition and so on. So this is really cool. So most people will try to start at least at the resonance edition or higher because they like to be able to do those scans and do the biofeedback that both Ray and Lori talked about. Resonance Plus, now you're adding deep cycle, learning, and skin programs, but also that aura module and the success coach module. So Lori, you probably never have anyone start at anything less than the Resonance Plus because they need to have a success coach to work with you as a wellness coach. Professional will exactly. Professional adds the rest: bioenergetic defense, which is very popular. Job, beauty, digital nutrition, and bioenergetic vitalization are very popular. This one here, bioenergetic vitalization, is actual frequencies from things like stem cells and human growth hormone. It's all this stuff to keep us vitalized, or really to keep us young. Okay, so these are really cool. So the cool thing though is that Healy is doing a discount. And I actually found out, I don't think Lori knows this yet, but I found out what the promotion is for October. They're not actually announcing it till tomorrow, but we know tonight. Okay, so it's actually, they're taking 45% off of any edition besides gold. So holistic, resonance, resonance plus, and professional are almost half price. Okay, 45% off for the month of October until Halloween. So you can see here, normally this holistic that would cost $1,015 is going to be about $558. A resonance that would normally be $1,515 is $833. Resonance plus will be $1,390, and the professional, which is normally $4,041, you're getting almost $2,000 off at $2,222.55. So this is a really, really good deal. That's why I believe that most people here in October will probably choose the professional, because the difference, like if let's say you were to say, well, I can't really quite afford the professional, I'm going to buy the resonance plus. If later on you want to upgrade to the professional, you can do that. But the difference between the normal prices, $2,500 and $4,000, is $1,500. And when you do an upgrade, they add another $200 or $300 on there as an upgrade fee. So it's probably something like $1,800 just to upgrade this. Plus you would have already paid $1,390 even with the half price. So that was a lot more than if you could just go ahead and do professional now. So I suggest get at least the resonance, but get the most expensive one you can afford, because it is worth it. All these extra programs that you get at each level, they all are so valuable and so cool. If you do want the coil, it is an extra additional accessory. So it's another $225 or so. And then lastly, you can become a member as well, like Ray and I and Lori are. You could choose just to be a customer and use our Healy, use our product. But if you are interested in network marketing like we're doing, and you want another income stream, if you see value in this device, and that there's probably be millions and millions of people that would want one of these, you can build a business with us. So you can earn commissions for referring people to Healy. You don't have to buy the device and then resell it to them and stockpile anything. All you do is refer them. They go online, they order it, you get a commission. It's really cool. But you can also earn a free device up to the Resonance Plus Edition level as you get started. So there's like certain things you would meet, certain goals you would meet to get that free device. And that's what Ray talked about. You know, if you sell about 3 of the device that you own, 3 or 4 of them, you would earn that same device back. So that's pretty cool. If we believe this is going to be a multi-billion-dollar company. It's already a couple $100 million a year, right? But it's going to be a multi-billion-dollar company in the next few years. And Healy has a goal. The founder, Marcus Schmika, and his business partner, Christian Halper, they believe in the next 10 years we can have 100 million people or 100 million families that own a Healy. And what kind of an impact is that going to make on the planet? You know, 100 million people experiencing frequencies every day for them and their families, that's going to make a huge impact on the health of the planet, physical, mental, and emotional health of the planet. So if you'd like to be part of that project and sharing Healy and spreading it around the world, we're actually in 50-something countries. If you know people in over 50 different countries, you can actually refer people in all those areas of the world. I'm going to stop there. I think, you know, normally I would sometimes show you kind of the ordering process, but you really just need to get back with the person that showed you the Healy or first told you about the Healy. They will give you a referral link. And when you go in there, you would just order your Healy. It's not going to show. Now, honestly, I don't know if it shows the 45% discount tonight. We might have to wait until tomorrow, okay? Because that's being announced at about noon Eastern tomorrow on a big webinar. So if it's not showing up that way tonight with the 45% discount, just wait and do that tomorrow, and we can get your Healy ordered. It comes free ground shipping in the United States. Here we ship out of 2 locations. If you're in Canada, we ship out of a location directly out of Canada. So you do get it just within a couple days, 2 to 4 days probably by UPS or FedEx or something. And then you can have your Healy and play with it for 2 weeks. You won't want to return it, promise you. You're going to want to keep it, right? So yeah, with that, did we have any questions, Lori or Ray? Were there any good questions in the chat that we should share with everybody, or are we all caught up with the questions?
I think Lori's been managing through that pretty well.
Awesome.
So go ahead.
Lori.
So someone just asked about the 50% off. That ended at 8 Eastern, 7 Central.
Yep.
So that's when the third ended in Germany.
Yes, so it is now 45% discount. And I'll be honest, everyone, Healy has made it very clear that they intend to move away from these big discounts.
Oh, yes.
We are hoping they'll get to the point where they establish the price, and the price is the price, because we believe the Healy Professional is worth $4,000. It's worth a lot more than that. So to get it at $2,200 is ridiculous. You guys should take advantage of it, but the longer you wait, the less that discount's going to be. Okay, get it here in October, right. 45%.
David, at $4,000, that's only 20 biofeedback sessions. Mm-hmm. If they were to go to a practitioner, so it's really a steal. Honestly, I think it's grossly underpriced, and I have made that known. But fortunately for all of you out there, I don't have the popular viewpoint on this, and it's still on sale at 45% off.
Yeah.
So Crystal asked a question here.
Okay.
That I think is important. When doing remote sessions for others, do we also receive some of the frequencies? And the answer is you do not. If you're sending frequencies from the Blue Dot app into someone's information field, it's no different than if you're calling their cell phone. Theirs is the only one that's going to ring, and that's where the conversation is going to be. The same thing with the Blue Dot in the Healy. It is going to log on to your energy field or the energy field of your client, and that's the only person that's going to be receiving those frequencies. So there's no bleed over.
Yeah, I wanted to say one last thing about another product that we have available, and it's hard to see with my screen in the back, but this is called a Mag Healy, and it has numerous programs, and I'm fascinated with this. It's another way to receive frequencies through magnetic frequencies, where the Healy that we've been showing you, it does 3 modalities. This does 1, but it's magnetic. And there's classic Rife programs in this device. There's probably 24 of those. There's atmosphere programs that allow you to vibrate for different situations, whether you're in an office space or a car or around your family members. There's programs for vibrating water. Turn that light down a little bit. So it's still on, just a different mode. But you can also bump this up against a water container or set it on top of a water container and vibrate frequencies to your water, whether it's sleeping or energy, or there's numerous programs there. And then the thing that really distinguishes this as well is there's some programs in there from Dr. Carolyn McMakin, who is the pioneer for frequency specific microcurrent. And she's very much sought after by the professional athletes, and a good bunch of her programs are in this for different situations. So pretty neat product. But I just wanted to bring this to people's attention as well.
Yeah, and that's a brand new product. We've only had it here in the US, what, five or 6 weeks or so. And newly, this coil is a little over a year old. So Healy is coming up with new accessories or new products, new all the time. They have a big group of quantum physicists working on this whole area of energy medicine and frequencies, where down the road, we as Healy members will be able to offer just a huge catalog of different type of frequency products that will be very, very exciting. So we are at the beginning of something huge here, and you guys have the opportunity to own a Healy or a Mag Healy or both, and enjoy just this next level, very almost futuristic. What do sometimes people call it? Like it's like ancient wisdom from the future, something like that. It's like a blend of the old and the new, and where we're heading. It's really, really cool. So I think with that, we will say goodnight, everyone. We do record this. It will be posted, so you can ask the person that told you about Healy if you'd like to get the recording link for this and share it with some others. We'd love for you to do that. And just ask them and they can get you that link. It'll be posted within the hour on YouTube. All right. Thank you, everyone, and good night.
Good night,
Thank
all.
you. Good night, everyone.